All right, right after that, he headed to meet the Indian diaspora there, and he had talked about it as it being a dessert, something that sweet that everyone has after having a meal, and especially when it comes to this very heartfelt rendition of the Indian National Anthem that was sung by this award-winning singer Mary Wilburn, who's also joining us here on Times Now to speak about how, in fact, she had prepared ahead of the Prime Minister's address at this Ronald Reagan Centre. So Mary is with us right now. Many thanks for speaking to us right now on Times Now. Let me begin by asking you the foremost question, especially when it comes to experience. How was it meeting the Indian Prime Minister?
Well, it's wonderful to be here with all of the Times Now family, and thanks for having me on your evening, my morning. This is what I look like in the morning. I usually have a ball cap on, so forgive me for being a little bit underdressed. But anyhow, it's just been such a wonderful week to be in New York and in Washington, D.C., and to have such intimacy, certainly with all of the festivities with the Prime Minister. We will formally meet this evening during my performance, but I was so honored to join the Prime Minister and guest in New York at the United Nations for the International Yoga Day, which we all know now is a historic day, certainly in New York and across the world in celebration of Yoga Day. And certainly been wonderful to be here in Washington, D.C. now in celebration of the Prime Minister's visit. I have such deep respect for the Prime Minister, and he's such an important leader, not only for India, but certainly for the U.S. India relationship and for what's going on across the world. And so it's a real honor to be a part of his festivities this week.
Absolutely. Your visuals in the video that has also been going viral there. But you have visited India, haven't you? Because when it comes to the official guest from the U.S. to attend the 75 Independence Day celebrations, you became the first American artist to be extended with such an honor and invitation. Could you share some of the experience that you had when you were on a visit here?
Absolutely. It was such an honor. We have been trying for some time since 2020 to visit India and due again to the coronavirus period. It was difficult, certainly, to get over. And so I was so happy to receive an invitation from the government of India, from the Ministry of External Affairs, and the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, who I call family now. And what a joy it was to travel to India with my dear sister and friend who is very involved in U.S. India relations here in the United States, Ms. Priya Priya Samad. And so we traveled over to India for the anniversary, and it was just an extraordinary time. I have such a love for India, as you know, and all of your audience knows. And so being in the country for the 75th anniversary and experiencing India and the people was truly extraordinary. And I love periods of heightened patriotism. We celebrate patriotism in such a beautiful way here in the United States. And so to see that on full display in India, the love of country, and certainly the love for the Prime Minister, and the love for freedom, to see that on full display, it was truly, truly extraordinary. And so I'm looking forward to returning to India during the G20 summit time later this fall. And we were mostly centralized in Delhi. So this trip coming to the G20, I'm looking forward to really seeing more of India while I'm there.
Well, absolutely, you're most welcome to come back here. But Mary, you've also been very popular, especially when it comes to the rendition of the bhajan, Om Jai Jagdish. Have these bhajans or these songs in the national anthem that are rooted in Indian culture and heritage, what exactly inspired you, especially when it comes to your work?
Well, I tell you, that performance too, thank you for asking, was very meaningful. We prepared the Om Jai Jagdish Hare during Diwali 2020, the Diwali 2020 observance. And I tell you, it was so meaningful learning this beautiful Hindu hymn. Certainly in the United States, I'm a woman of faith, and as a Christian woman, we grew up in our household learning a song called Amazing Grace. And that hymn, that song, is a song that almost every household in America grows up learning. And so learning that Om Jai Jagdish Hare was also a song that every Indian household grows up learning, that was a very meaningful correlation. And so, again, Dr. Mokshraj and I sat down and started to learn the hymn and certainly learn about the symbolism of the hymn. And presenting that was just, it was so meaningful. Certainly, we filmed the performance in Arizona, in Sedona, and the scenery of Sedona had a lot of similarities to the scenery in India. And so that was also very meaningful. And it was just a beautiful moment to really learn about the Indian culture in a musical form, and certainly the tie of faith. As I mentioned, I am a woman of faith, and I know how deeply the Indian culture is tied to faith as well. And so that parallel and that energy was very meaningful to me. And so I have been blessed by all the love in India and certainly across the world for that performance. And I look forward to sharing more music with my Indian family.
Well, thank you very much for bringing that out. And of course, when it comes to adapting Indian culture and something, of course, we've been also seeing your video when you touched the feet of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I mean, that is something that also is being praised. Someone like you who could do that, who could take such a gesture. Thank you very much, Mary Wilburn, for joining us here on Times Now. Thank you very much.